Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you on Wednesday, February the 9th. The year's 2022. Let's talk trading. Price, part 5. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. Yes, this video is coming to you a little bit later than normal. I was on the road today, but I didn't want to think I forgot about you guys. Didn't want to forget about you. We're talking about price, but one thing about price is, depending on what it does, it can mess with your brain. So let's try to get a hold of fear and get a hold of regret so we don't have any pain, because the pain doesn't come from the market. It comes from your reaction to the market. Now, somebody asked me, how do I get so much space on my chart? So let me show you how to do it. If you right click on your chart and come down here to properties, or you can just hit F8 and it brings up this pop-up box. Switch over to the common tab and you see where it says chart shift. That's important. Well, here, let's see, I don't know if you can see it on this chart. Let me see, I have to move it up just a slight bit here. You see this triangle? This is what does it. So if you drag it, just put your cursor over it, hold down the left mouse button, you drag it, you can move it to the left or you can move it to the right. So that's how I do that, just so you know. Somebody had asked about that. So once again, properties are F8. Make sure the grid is something other than none. And then chart shift needs to be on, and then you can shift the chart. So for the month, we're still green, 92 pips above the open, 93 pips off the high, and 101 off the low. As you can see here, we are right at the previous month's open, which is the yearly open. And so technically, that open was 26, so we're a few pips above it, about 9, maybe 10 pips above it at most. Looking at the weekly chart, 8 pips, 7 pips below the weekly open, 54 off the high and 45 off the low. You can see we've taken out the pivot point and all the weekly gaps have filled. Now, when we get to the opening range breakout chart, this is where things get to be slightly interesting. Here's the opening range for the year, right here. Here's the opening range for the month of February from here to here, that first day of the month. And then here's the opening range for the week. So you can see there's a lot of overlap here. In fact, this is inside. The opening range for February is inside the opening range for January, the beginning of the year. And right now, we're just about 8 pips above the opening range for the year. So a lot of action in here, a lot of price action happening. Once again, 7 pips above the yearly open, now 8. 91 above the monthly open, 8 below the weekly, and we're right at the daily open. We entered the yesterday. We entered the weekly inside bar from 3 weeks ago, and as you can see, we came back out. So there's a lot of inside bar action here. All the gray and the blue. The range, we'll have to see what yesterday's range was, because depending on where you live in the world, it's already Thursday. And so over in Europe, where these brokers are based, at least that's where their server time is based, you can see it's already the 10th, even though local time here is the 9th. And so since this is early in the day, no real action yet. Buy zone still in effect. No action on the rat zone. Still need to take out the pivot. Yesterday's pivot was taken out. And once again, if you notice here, we're talking about price. Right there, there was a turn trade, green to red. So if you put a horizontal line right there, you can see price failed to close above it. So if it's not closing above, it's closing below. You could take your shorts accordingly and would have been paid off nicely. And the same is true for the other direction here. You can see we had a turn trade, red and green. Price went below, it came back up. That would have been a nice ride to the top. We've taken out the monthly pivot. We have taken out the weekly pivot. And we took out, yesterday took out the pivot, but we still have a pivot here that hasn't been taken out. So that's today's pivot. We have a 18-day-old pivot and a 7-day-old pivot that still haven't been taken out on the daily. Huge upper wick zone. Not much of a body, only 4 pips. So there's going to be a lot of price in the wick zone unless price breaks out to the bottom, breaks out of the bottom of yesterday's candle, or actually yesterday's low. Looking here at the lower high, higher low scalper chart, looking at M5, you can see you can even do this at at this hour of the day, and you just basically are just trading what you see. Here's the lower high dots, the higher low dots, and you just have to go ahead, put the trade on, and see how many pips you can get. I read something was kind of interesting where they were saying trading isn't gambling. And they're comparing trading to gambling. I think we might have talked about that once before, but sometimes it's good to review things, especially when talking about price. And the thing is, the big difference is that they say in gambling, you might as well roll the dice or flip a coin. You're just doing random trades. Whereas in trading, you're looking at price, seeing what happens, and then taking and placing your trades accordingly, taking your profits accordingly. And you can see here we're nowhere near the ATR zones, too early in the day. And somebody had asked about what did I do to the M candle. Well, this is what I did. They didn't watch yesterday's video. I had to razz them about it over on the forum. But yeah, I added so we can have these. You can see the wick as a whole gray shaded area. And what's kind of neat about it is once again you can see if price is making highs or lows just by looking at this. To me, it's kind of a help, and it might even give you a little more confidence knowing, hey, I'm entering in the wick zone of the previous H1 or H4 candle, however you have it set, and it just might give you that much more confidence to take the trade. So once again, knowing that price is, near that high, of course it could break out and go higher, but if you see it reverse and come back through, then you can just put the trade on right there at the previous candle's close. And sometimes it'll be worth a few pips, and sometimes it won't. But that's trading. And the other thing about that is, using the above below indicator, TRO above below, you can set it up for today. And that's the one I look at. And sometimes I look at the previous day, but you really want to look at the current day if you are a day trader, scalper, you're going to be in and out. You don't want to hold positions overnight. But it kind of gives you a clue what price is doing. Is it closing above or below the current price? And that can make a big difference. So when you see price get down to this level, once again, turn trade, that big bar would be a return bar. And as I've mentioned, more than once, price usually goes back to the open of a return bar. It just seems to do that. And that's how you play it. Oh, and there was a trader that was referring to, I think it was a 2015 range display, which I told him, I said, you really need to get the newer 20 TRO 2022 frequency uh, distribution um, display, and UI means user input, and that means you can change these levels. So if you want to do like on a monthly, instead of doing 0 to 10, you might do 0 to 1,000 or 0 to, you might step it by 50s. So before I had it fixed, but then I changed it to user input. So I think that's all the questions. Oh, and somebody sent me an indicator. They wanted me to code on it, and I had a few minutes, so I got them squared away. In the past couple of weeks, I've kind of been on a coding tear. I've got some new tricks coming out probably well, maybe even later this week. I'll just have to see how my time goes. I got a few things I have to work on and take care of. But as far as price, you just really have to pay attention to what price is doing, and you have to trust your eyes. If you see price going up, why would you want to trade short? And sometimes you just have to trust what you see. And so a lot of times these indicators like this one, these are just visual aids. No, nothing more, nothing less. Anytime something's painting a zone or horizontal line, it's just a visual aid. I mean, certain things you can remember, some things you might forget. So, I mean, you can, once again, it's easy to see, for me to see this right here. I can see, I don't see too many bars closing below this level. You can look at it like this, but then sometimes having it over here in a gauge, you can say, well, when price starts to get here, it's like, oh, only 3 bars, close below this. Only 2 bars close below this. Only 1 bar close below this. No bars close below this. And then what? How you can really use it is when it's coming down and testing it the second time, and when you see it doesn't close, and you just have to let that candle close, then you might have more confidence. Well, it came down here, it's coming up. Wow, it closed above that close. It closed above this close. Oh, I'll take a chance. It's going up. And once again, that's a calculated risk as opposed to flipping a coin. But the funny thing is, you could be profitable flipping a coin because one of the neat things is if somebody sets you down in front of a open trade, you go, okay, I just put this trade on, you might be up or down a pip. It's like, what are you going to do? Are you going to exit the trade and go, no, it's not my trade, so I'll just exit? Or are you going to say, okay, well, let me analyze the chart and see what price is done and see, okay, well, they went long. Well, I've got this big bar here. I got this kind of looks like a big bar. Maybe to at least get the hair. Maybe, okay, if it breaks below here, let me put a stop loss on it. Those are the kind of questions, you would have to answer if you just got stuck in a trade, meaning somebody had a trade open and now they put you at the controls. Well, since you're at the controls, you can do that ahead of time because it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. And this is the Rumpled One. Over and out.